Try to remember the last compliment someone gave you. Take a second. Now try to remember the last time someone insulted you. That one came back faster, didn't it? Clearer, sharper, word for word. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's running a filing system built millennia before compliments even mattered. Here's something almost everyone has experienced. A teacher hands back an essay covered in praise, with one small critical note buried in the margins. Weeks later, the praise is gone. The critical note is the only thing you remember. A room full of people applauds you, and one person in the back looks unimpressed. Guess which face you replay that night? This isn't a personality flaw. It isn't insecurity or negativity or being too sensitive. It's a feature of your memory system so consistent that psychologists gave it a name. In 2001, psychologist Roy Baumeister led a team through an enormous review of existing research, pulling together studies spanning decades and dozens of areas of human life. Relationships, money, health, learning, memory itself. Across nearly every domain they examined, the same pattern kept appearing. Bad experiences carried more psychological weight than good ones, consistently by a wide margin. Baumeister gave the phenomenon a name that stuck in psychology ever since. Bad is stronger than good. Later research tried to put a number on it. Psychologist John Gottman, studying married couples, found that stable relationships needed roughly 5 positive interactions to offset the damage of a single negative one. 5 to 1. Not because people are ungrateful, and not because gratitude doesn't register, because a single negative moment simply weighs more on the scale to begin with. So why would evolution build a brain this lopsided? Why would it make us worse at holding on to the good? The answer starts with what memory is actually for. Memory isn't a diary. It never evolved to keep a fair, balanced record of your life. Memory evolved for one purpose: keep you alive long enough to pass on your genes. And for almost all of human history, the fastest way to die wasn't missing out on a kind word. It was missing a threat. Think about the actual stakes involved. If your ancestor forgot a compliment, nothing happened. Life continued exactly as it would have anyway. But if your ancestor forgot that a certain plant was poisonous, or that a particular member of the group couldn't be trusted, or that a specific sound in the grass meant a predator was near, the cost could be immediate and permanent. There's no do-over for a mistake like that. Evolution doesn't reward balance. It rewards whatever keeps you breathing tomorrow. This is where insults enter the picture, and it's more literal than you'd think. For most of human history, you didn't live around strangers. You lived in a band of 25 to 30 people, the same faces for your entire life. In a group that size, your reputation wasn't a nice-to-have. It was survival infrastructure. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm, who spent decades studying small-scale societies, documented how these groups enforced cooperation. Gossip, public teasing, exclusion from a hunt or a gathering trip. These weren't casual social friction. They were the entire legal system, and a bad reputation could mean losing access to food, protection, or a mate. An insult in that world wasn't just an unpleasant sound directed at you. It was often a signal. Sometimes it meant you'd broken a rule. Sometimes it meant your standing in the group had quietly shifted. Sometimes it was an early warning that support you were counting on might not be there when you needed it. Missing that signal wasn't a minor social slip. It could mean walking into winter without allies. Compliments carried no equivalent risk. A compliment felt good, and feeling good matters, but skipping the analysis of a compliment never put anyone in danger. So your brain, operating on a strict cost-benefit ledger written by evolution, allocated resources accordingly. Threats to reputation got flagged, encoded deeply, and replayed. Warm feelings got enjoyed in the moment and released. There's a specific mechanism behind this, and it lives in your amygdala, the same almond-shaped structure responsible for detecting danger. In 2003, neuroscientists studying emotional memory found that the amygdala plays a direct role in strengthening memories tied to negative emotional experiences, essentially tagging them as high priority before they're even fully processed. A neutral or mildly positive memory doesn't get the same tag. It's filed normally, and normal memories fade at a normal rate. A socially threatening memory gets stamped urgent, and urgent memories are built to last. This explains something else that might sound familiar. Negative memories don't just last longer, they come back louder, more vivid, more detailed. You can often recall the exact words of an insult, the tone someone used even where you were standing when they said it. Compliments rarely get that treatment. They dissolve into a general, pleasant blur. Your brain wasn't built to archive the good with the same precision it uses for the bad because precision is expensive and evolution only pays for precision when the stakes are high. Now here's where it gets more complicated than our brains are just wired for negativity, because that framing, while true, doesn't fully explain why the imbalance is so extreme in social contexts specifically. In 2005, researcher Naomi Eisenberger ran a study using brain imaging on people experiencing social rejection. She found that the same regions of the brain that process physical pain also activate during social exclusion. Being left out, criticized, or insulted doesn't just feel bad in a vague, metaphorical sense. Your brain processes it, at least partially, using the same circuitry it uses for actual physical injury. That's not a coincidence. For a social species that depended entirely on group membership to survive, exclusion was a genuine threat to life, not just to feelings. Your brain still treats it that way, even when the modern version of exclusion is a sarcastic comment in a group chat. So an insult doesn't just get filed as negative information. It gets processed on some level as an injury. And injuries, unsurprisingly, tend to be remembered vividly enough to be avoided in the future. There's a final piece here, and it might be the most uncomfortable one. This system isn't actually broken in the modern world. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. The problem is that the modern world delivers social threats at a volume and constancy that never existed for most of human history. Your ancestors received, at most, a handful of social evaluations in a day from people they knew intimately, in contexts they understood completely. You now receive dozens, sometimes hundreds, from comment sections, group chats, coworkers, and total strangers online, most of whom you'll never meet, and whose opinion has zero bearing on your actual survival. But your amygdala doesn't know that. It still tags a stranger's harsh comment on the internet with the same urgency it once reserved for a genuine threat to your standing in a band of 30 people who controlled your access to food and safety. That's why one critical comment among 100 positive ones can dominate your entire day. Your ancient reputation monitoring system is running at full intensity in an environment producing far more inputs than it was ever built to sort through, most of which carry none of the real-world stakes it assumes they do. So what do you actually do with this? Understanding the mechanism doesn't erase the sting, but it changes what the sting means. That insult that keeps replaying isn't proof that it mattered more than the praise you received. It's proof that a specific, ancient part of your brain flagged it as socially relevant information and filed it accordingly. The same way it would have flagged a break in trust inside a tribe of 30 people, because for most of human history, that's exactly the kind of information it was protecting you from missing. You're not weak for remembering the insult more clearly than the compliment. You're running software built for a world where forgetting the wrong thing could genuinely cost you everything. That system kept your ancestors alive for 300,000 years. It just never got the memo that most of what it's now defending you against can't actually hurt you at all.